Thank you so much. So, we are doing well in the tourist industry at the moment. Which it was this? That one. Okay, thank you. So, tourism is doing well all over the world. Tourism is the major source of income in many countries and destinations. There are many positive effects in the tourist industry when they come to different areas. You get more jobs, you get more residents, and the schools have more pupils. And there are also a better range of products in the shops. There are services and there's more housing. And there are different kinds of investments from government and also from private investments. We also get better connections, flight connections, straight flights from Europe to northern Ivalo, or from London or Frankfurt, or over 100 charter flights that bring customers all over the world to Ivalo. Also, public transportation is getting better because of tourism. There are better roads because tourists also use self-drive packages and rent cars, so the roads have to be good. Also, internet and mobile connections are better. But we haven't think that tourism brings only good things. It's a mistake. There are already some destinations in the world that we could say that they are in danger of being loved to death. For decades, the tourist industry has tried to attract as many tourists as possible, and without thinking that tourism could affect the local people's lives and that people would suffer from over-tourism. 2017 was the first year when over-tourism hit the headlines. There were demonstrations in Barcelona, in Venice, and they were quite massive. And this was the first year when we started to talk about that how the tourism can destroy different destinations. But it's not only an issue of big cities, it's also an issue with wilderness areas, national parks. The Antarctic Treaty has limited the number of people on the shore at 100 at one time, and cruise ships that have more than 500 passengers are not allowed at any of the landing sites. Iceland. In 2006, there were 1.4 million arrivals and 2.5 million overnights. 10 years later, 4.6 million arrivals and 7.8 million overnights. They have had to make decisions that some of the fragile nature resources, the access to these places has to be limited. Inari-Saariselkä has about 500,000 overnights. 10 years ago we had 270,000 overnights, and every year we grow 10 to 20%. So what are the problems that tourism causes? One problem is that the locals move out to avoid the tourism. In Venice, tourists actually have displaced locals, and in just 30 years, the city population has cut until half, to 55,000. It becomes impossible to live in a city where everything is made for the tourists, and how the property prices, they go up and the services go up. So people can't afford to live there. One reason is also services start to go down. It starts to be a question about making money, not about giving good service. We also have a problem that where do we get the staff to do the service work, to work in the hotels and activity companies. So the customers, they get bad service. They stand in a queue and they can't really get that what they thought that they bought. And also that in the areas there comes more and more international companies who just want to make the fast money. They don't want to cooperate with the area, with the other companies. They just want to make the money, and that is not a good way to go. Overloaded infrastructure. There are few places that are built for tourism. Tourism generates a high level of waste. Wastewater management system, they are not built for tourism. So we are in problems again. Damage to nature and buildings and historical sites. The nature, the unspoiled nature, is the most attractive thing what we have, and people come to see it. But tourism can destroy that. Loss of local culture and heritage. Culture and heritage comes a product with a price tag. It's not anymore life. It's more like a product that is for sale. But what can we do? We can talk about sustainability and to believe in sustainability. Sustainability is not a marketing campaign, although it would be a good idea to say that we are doing sustainability in tourism and do nothing. Sustainability doesn't mean that you're cutting down the profits. No. Sustainability is about respecting both the local people and the tourists. And respecting also the heritage and the environment. Travelers are at the moment heading to north. There are more and more people who come to the northern areas because they try to avoid sort of overdeveloped areas. We can already see that inside Lapland. Some of the places are quite crowded, so the tourists are heading further north. But how many tourists can a small village or town really handle? What can we really do? What can we really do? We can extend the seasons and shift the focus on promotion. We have been for years talking about our winter, our northern lights, our Christmas season. Now we have to start talking about the other seasons. We have 8 seasons altogether. All of them are different. So we can start selling also summer, autumn, and all the other seasons. We can spread the visitors. It's not just Saariselkä, it's not just Inari. We just have to spread them further north in our area and also to our neighbor countries. And we can make like packages where a customer can have a holiday in 2 countries in a one holiday. Adjust pricing to balance the supply and demand. We really don't need to sell cheaply to get people here in the north. So we can think that when we have higher standard of rooms, higher standard of services, we can have a higher price. We have to be proud about ourselves and our products and not think that because we are in the far north, we have to sell it cheaply. We have to regulate accommodation supply, not too many hotels. It's a problem that we need more capacity. But if we have this capacity used only for 4 months in a year, so there's no sense to build more. Airbnb home sharing apartments. We should really be careful with them. They can take the rental apartments from the locals. They can push down the prices and they pay no taxes or obey any rules. Limit access to say, sorry, we are fully booked. So, who are responsible? What we should do? First of all, the governments, the local authorities, tourist boards and suppliers, we should work together. And also travelers should be responsible about sustainability. Our goal should be that sustainable tourism is travel industry's duty, but it's also that we should make a promise that our area will be, in 20-30 years, still this beautiful Arctic nature, local services, local heritage and culture. That is our duty. And we hope that we can make that promise to our tourists. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tarja. Will you come over here, please? And it's very interesting to hear the story of how Finland has seen also this big rise in tourism. This happened, the big rise started only a few years ago. What was the immediate factor that caused it?
Well, Finland has been working in tourist business for a long, long time. Finnish Lapland has been in this game for ages. And suddenly there were many factors that came together when the tourists really started to find Finland.
One of them was the direct lines from Asia.
Yes. Finnair started sort of Asia campaign, Asia strategy, when you have straight flights from Asia, from China, straight to Helsinki, and easy connection from Helsinki to north.
And how did that change the tourism situation in your area?
Well, suddenly we started to get a lot of Asian tourists. Earlier we had like a lot of Japanese, but suddenly we started to have Chinese groups, and Rovaniemi and Ivalo are at the moment the most popular Asian sort of destinations.
And in this area, it's not heavily populated, to put it mildly. And how did you get enough people to work in the tourism industry?
Well, that is a big problem. It's been for a couple of years now a problem to get enough staff. So we have done campaigns trying to get people from south part of Finland to move to north, live there and work there. And also we have had to have people from abroad from different countries to our area to work. But it is a problem, and it's going to be a problem.
And you have long experience in the tourism industry. You worked in several countries. And when do you think the alarm bells should go off? When should we feel that this is maybe going too fast?
I would say the moment is now, at the moment. Because now it's a situation that we have quite a good growth. We start to make mistakes in this point. When everyone thinks that we are doing so well, we are making good money, this is our future, but this is a time when we start to make mistakes.
You've seen Kirkenes, and you see the beautiful surroundings here now, lots of Asian tourists here also. What is your advice to people here?
Don't stand on one foot that have many countries, many nationalities visiting you, because it has happened in tourist business everywhere that if you just have one nationality that is visiting your area, so if something happens, so you are in problems. But if you have, like we have over 40 nationalities flying to Ivalo and our region, so we know that we are safe if something happens to one of them.
From a tourism perspective, what would an Arctic railway mean, you think?
Well, there you could see it in two ways. You could sort of get tourists easier to our area, that they are not relying on flight connections. They could see the whole Lapland on their way to north. But the other way is that, if we talk about sustainability, if we talk about the nature products, the untouched nature, then again, we can see it as a problem. There are two ways to see it.
Thank you so much, Tarja Manninen, for sharing your views and experience from Finland. Yes. And before you just hold your horses a little second, I'm going to give a special gift to you, Tarja. This is a piece of art from Jon Savio, a famous Sami artist. And everybody, all the speakers, will get this cup with the motive. And this is also because the Sør-Varanger they have an ambition to build a museum for his art. And you will have this cup as a token from here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.